This video is gonna tell you everything you need to know to go from out of the box to fully set up, ready to use. Let's jump into it and show you how it's done. First step for me in the installation process is installing the lift arm to the top of the motor. I really like that as the first step because it allows me to see this new motor taking shape, and also helps me hang the motor securely onto the mounting bracket and then work from there forward toward the controller. I've loosened these pieces of hardware where the lift arm is held to the steering triangle. So I'm just gonna unthread this by hand. And this will be pre-installed to the steering triangle. So once you back those pieces of hardware out, that retract arm just mates right up with the trailing edge of the steering triangle. I'm gonna go screw, washer, I'm gonna go through. And once I've got this hardware loosely installed, before I tighten all the hardware down, I'm gonna make sure that this little apex in the back of the lift arm is in line with the prop nut. And you can just eyeball this. It doesn't have to be super exact, but you do want it to be straight. So you insert the 3 screws, washer, and nut. Before I start tightening the hardware down, I'm gonna just come right in line with the lift arm and verify that everything's in line. So I'm looking for this little apex to be in a straight line with the prop nut. In the kit provided with your motor, we include a 5mm Allen key and a 10mm wrench, but for speed and ease of installation, I'm gonna use some tools that I have on hand. Once I'm all snugged up, I'm gonna come to the back again, just make sure I'm all lined up, and that looks pretty good. Next step is really gonna feel like the system's coming together. Most modern fishing kayaks have a standardized 4-bolt pattern and use 1/4-20 hardware. So I've pulled the 1/4-20 hardware that's included with the kit out of the box, and I'm just gonna go in by hand. It's pretty important that this step you use hand tools and not power tools. And I always like to thread the screws in right in the beginning, just finger tight, and then I'll come in with a screwdriver and cinch everything down. So come in with my hand tool, make sure everything's snugged up, and I'll go diagonally across to the next screw. Since this usually uses lock washers under the head of the 1/4-20 screw, you want to make sure you're compressing those lock washers all the way down. And I'll just alternate until everything feels nice and snug. The next step for me is installing the trim pin to the motor bracket. This is gonna allow the motor to sit properly without swinging once I hang it on the bracket. And the most common trim setting is gonna be the second trim hole away from the stern of the boat. So that's where I'm gonna start, and then I can adjust on the water as needed. I'm gonna put that split ring on, and that's gonna be secured. Next step for me is installing the motor to the mounting bracket. So to do that, I've just removed this little cotter pin here, and I only unthread the wheel from one side of the pin. I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna come back to the back of the mounting bracket. I'm gonna make sure all my cabling is out of the way. It helps to get eye level with the mounting bracket during this step. Just makes the installation a little smoother. So now that my motor's secured onto the bracket, I'm gonna come in with the wheel and I'm gonna spin it right on. I'm gonna turn these wheels against one another until they stop. I'm gonna insert this cotter pin just to secure the wheel for extra safety. Next step for me is attaching the locking carabiner clip and the Ron stand micro block to the top of the lift arm. So I'm just gonna come in here, angle it a little, and clip it right on. For extra security, you can lock that little locking collar. And now we're ready to run the control line to the right side of the boat. So that's my dominant arm. I'm gonna run the up-down control line to my dominant side. To do that, I'm gonna insert the pre-crimped loop to the eyelet at the opposite side of where I want the control line to end up. So I insert the loop. I'm gonna take the tag end, go through that loop. I'm gonna pull it all the way until it tightens up. After that, I'm gonna take the tag end of that same line. I'm gonna go right through the micro block and I'm gonna pull it all the way through. Once I've gone through the micro block, I'm going to come through the eyelet at the opposite side. I'm gonna pull it all the way through. Doubling back this control line gives you nice 2-to-1 mechanical advantage, so the motor actually feels very light when you retract it with your dominant arm. The geometry also helps with the mechanical advantage, and the Ron stand block's really smooth. After this, I'm gonna run the control line up to the right side of the seat. You want the lift line knob to be accessible from the seat. So I've measured the distance away from the motor that I want the line to reach, and I'm gonna push this line through and tie it off at that point. I'm gonna cut the line and ideally melt that or tape it off with a bit of electrical tape. I'm gonna do a double overhand knot and pull it tight. So you have a nice clean knot like that. I'm gonna pull it tight against the handle so it stops. Run it up next to the seat and put it right there. The next control line I'm gonna set up is the steering lockout. When you pull the steering lockout control line, that latch is gonna close over the trim bar and it's gonna lock the motor in place. If you're on a shallow body of water, say around oyster beds, tannic water with sunken stumps and things like that, you wanna leave this in free kick mode. So you want that motor to stay disengaged. If you need to activate full power reverse, you'll want that latch to go over the trim bar to lock the motor down. I like to use this in docking situations, so I have full control of the motor, just like a regular boat outboard. The line routing for the reverse lockout line is gonna go from the back side of the eyelet on through. I'm gonna pull it all the way through, measure out the distance away from the motor that the handle needs to reach so that it's right next to the seat. And then you have reverse lockout control right from the seated position. I'm gonna install the red reverse lockout handle in the exact same way. So the handle is installed over the tag end of the line. I'll push it all the way through and tie it off where I've identified the correct length to be. Same cut and tie process. Gonna cut. Form a loop. Gonna go twice through the loop and pull it tight. Then I'm gonna bottom it out right on the handle. And when I pull that, you'll have full power reverse without the motor kicking up. This control line configuration is to my preference. Newport includes optional carabiner clips and pulleys that you can use here for smoother control line operation. I personally prefer this setup because I feel it's a little quieter, and you minimize rattling and enhance stealth. In your NK180 HD and NK300 HD kit, we've included coated stainless steel steering cables. The length of these can be customized depending on the kayak, and you can actually run these externally or internally, but we provide a steering cable option for you. We've gone with Wizard foot steering on this particular kayak, and I've already set it up so we're ready to clip directly to the HD steering triangle. Clipping to the far outside elliptical holes on the steering triangle allow you to get more throw and allow a little finer precision maneuvering around cover. So I do like clipping to the far outside holes in any circumstance. The length adjustment for different height users can be done right at the foot pegs on the Wizard foot steering, which is why that's my preferred foot steering method. So from the seat, you get full control right from the seated position, totally hands-free. Once you finish this step, you're at the 90-yard mark with this installation. It's important to note that there is a preferred power-up sequence when it comes to the communication cable and connecting the motor to your power source. This is going to be exactly the same whether you're working with a NK300 or an NK180 HD. So it's important that the first step in that startup process is connecting the Amphenol M12 connectors to the motor end and the controller end. You rotate these two collars against one another until they fully seat. You'll notice you don't see each collar mate flush up against one another. You'll just go until you feel that gasket that's in there compress. These M12 connectors are really robust. We've upgraded the size of the plugs so they're easier to manipulate. You can even do this with gloves on, and that's intentional in the design. Once I've installed the M12 connector at the throttle controller end, then I'm ready to connect the system to power. I'm going to feel the gasket compress, ensuring that the collars are fully tightened, gaskets compressed, and the plugs seated, and we're ready to go. I've pre-installed the throttle controller to Newport's NK throttle mounting plate. I'm going to install that on a piece of track right up near the seat where I can comfortably reach and manipulate the throttle. NK180 HD runs off of 24 volt power, NK300 HD runs off of 36 volt power. For this demonstration, I'm using a 24 volt low pro battery. I'm going to show you the throttle setup and navigating the throttle menu. There's a few things I look for right when I get power to the throttle controller. I want to make sure, one, that it's indicating the correct battery type that aligns with what I'm using. I know I'm using a lithium battery, so I'm going to press mode until I see a LI on the screen. It's a small LI right under the voltage readout. So now that I've got the correct battery setting, I'm going to place the key on and I'm going to power up. It shows 0%, shows that I'm in the neutral position, and 0 watt draw. I want to test that the throttle throw equals 100% in forward and 100% in reverse. I don't want to run the prop too long because it's a water-cooled system. I don't want to run it too long out of the water, but it's totally fine to test and verify that you've got full functionality. So I go ramp up all the way to 100%. And I want to also make sure that I've got low power. So even down to 1%, which I've got, that's going to be precision control on the low end. For creeping along a bank or going really slow as you're casting and working an area. I want to also make sure that I've got full power reverse so that I reach 100% and again down super low. That indicates to me that the throttle needs no calibration. We're ready to get on the water. From here, I'm going to mount the throttle up near the seat where I can access the throttle control right from the seat in a comfortable position, and we're ready to hit the water. Thanks for tuning in to the NK HD quick start video. No matter if you choose the NK 180 HD or NK 300 HD, we hope that this made your setup seamless and easy. Have fun out there, be safe, and remember, the way forward is electric.